Summer's supposed to be the easy season. So why are so many people quietly Googling a therapist between summer Fridays? Because more daylight doesn't fix the hard stuff. Sometimes it just turns the volume up. Grow does therapy differently. Grow connects you with thousands of high-quality licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. The therapist you want takes your insurance on Grow. Grow accepts over 125 insurance plans. Sessions average $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/ACAST today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/ACAST. growtherapy.com/ACAST. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
This message is brought to you by Cologuard. If you recorded songs off the radio for a mixtape, it might be time to screen for colon cancer. The Cologuard test is non-invasive, requires no special prep or time off, and you start screening right from your home. It's just 3 simple steps: set up, sample, and ship. If you're 45 or older and at average risk, ask your doctor about the Cologuard test. Available by prescription only. Learn more or request a prescription at Cologuard.com/podcast.
On today's Smart 7, no good news for Donald Trump in the Middle East. Hunter Biden says Joe's cancer has spread, and much more. It's Monday, 10th of August. It's World Lion Day, and happy birthday, Kylie Jenner.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
There was no good news for Donald Trump from the Middle East this weekend. Last week, his Board of Peace, which is designed to be the equivalent of the UN, but controlled by the US president, announced a deal which would see Hamas disarm if Israeli forces withdrew from Gaza. The Board of Peace and President Trump have eyes on a redevelopment project, but first they need peace instead of the ongoing crisis. There was bad news, though, on Sunday, as Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu flatly rejected any deal which involved Israeli withdrawal.
The IDF will not carry out any withdrawal until the dismantling of Hamas and its weapons. That means all weaponry. We're talking about a true dismantling, not a fictitious dismantling.
And things didn't go any better with Iran either, as a floated deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz appears to have stalled. Instead, Iran are demanding a return to the original ceasefire agreement, which would see sanctions lifted on oil, a removal of the US blockade in the strait, and the cessation of attacks on Iranian allies. It leaves the Trump administration in a difficult position, but US Vice President Vance was attempting to sound unconcerned on Sunday.
We've destroyed their nuclear program, we've destroyed their conventional military, and right now we're trying to see if they're willing to make the kind of long-term changes that would be necessary to have a better relationship with the United States, and if not, that's fine too.
Ukrainian President Zelensky was on the road this weekend visiting Serbia, the first time that a Ukrainian president has been to the country in 8 years. Serbian President Vučić described Ukraine as a friendly nation, and both men discussed their ongoing efforts to join the European Union. Russia continued strikes across the weekend, killing at least 13 people with ballistic missile strikes across Ukraine. With no sign of any progress towards peace talks, Zelensky suggested that America is proposing any post-war security guarantees will depend on Ukraine withdrawing its forces from the Donbass, one of President Putin's long-term goals.
The guarantees of the United States, our agreements, are absolutely very strong guarantees. Ukraine will have guarantees from the United States of America after the war.
Donald Trump's inability to stand up to Putin was called out by former US Secretary of State and presidential candidate Hillary Clinton over the weekend.
I said this months ago. I said, if he got an honorable peace with Ukraine, they don't have to give up any property, I'd nominate him for the Peace Prize. But he's more interested in his relationship with Putin. Yeah. You know, he wants Putin's favor even more than he wants a Nobel Peace Prize.
Hunter Biden sat down for an in-depth interview with the BBC this weekend. Joe Biden's son was rarely out of the headlines on Fox News over a number of years before his dad preemptively pardoned him before leaving office. Recently, Hunter has become increasingly high profile, sitting for various interviews, including with Tucker Carlson, which drops on Monday. Biden Jr. is a fierce critic of President Trump, but he also shared bad news about his dad, who was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer back in May 2025.
I wish he would complain more. The cancer has spread, is metastasized into his bones and further. And it's very debilitating in many respects, but he's still out there. He's still doing this thing. He so believes in this country.
Donald Trump suffered another defeat in his bid to control the midterm elections late on Saturday night as Republican senators failed to pass his Save America Act. The act, which would see all voters required to present ID and proof of citizenship, is wildly unpopular, but the president has been making increasingly desperate pleas to get it passed before the midterms. He did get one victory over the weekend as his former defense lawyer and acting US Attorney General Todd Blanche was finally confirmed by the Senate for the full-time role. Blanche has promised to drop Trump's near $2 billion reparations fund, but faced serious questions over his handling of the Epstein files. Even now that he has the job, former Judge Mark Wolf says there's trouble ahead over Trump's tax immunity deal.
What hasn't been discussed publicly is the fact that, in my opinion, President Trump committed a crime in negotiating the settlement agreement in this case. And it's possible that Mr. Blanche would be found to be a co-conspirator in that crime.
Still to come on today's Smart 7, in association with Metro, Premier League clubs warm up, and Gillian Anderson doesn't want to talk about the X-Files. Right after this.
Summer's supposed to be the easy season. So why are so many people quietly Googling a therapist between summer Fridays? Because more daylight doesn't fix the hard stuff. Sometimes it just turns the volume up. Grow does therapy differently. Grow connects you with thousands of high-quality licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. The therapist you want takes your insurance on Grow. Grow accepts over 125 insurance plans. Sessions average $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/ACAST today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/ACAST. growtherapy.com/ACAST. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
You're a pro at running your life, at committing to your workout, at showing up every day. At Bombas, we're pros too. Pros at making socks. Our sport assortment has specialized socks for whatever sport you're committed to. Running, hiking, golf, Pilates, and so much more. Made with sweat-wicking yarns, blister-fighting details, and targeted arch support. Bombas Sport is pro-level socks from the pros of socks. For another pro, you. Go to bombas.com/audio and use code audio for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com and use code audio.
Welcome back. The Premier League is inching closer to its return with less than 2 weeks to go. The weekend saw mixed fortunes for Premier League favourites in pre-season games. Liverpool lost 3-2 to Monaco, while Arsenal lost 3-2 to Borussia Dortmund. Man City picked up a 3-1 win against Atletico Madrid, and Newcastle managed a 2-1 win over Valencia. New Newcastle boss Matthias Gisele has hit the ground running in his first week at the club, taking a hands-on approach to training, and he's sounding positive about the season ahead.
You always need to consider that it was now a really hard training week. They put a lot of effort in the training sessions the last days, so therefore the legs were not that fresh, but in the end it's also about winning games. So everyone got his game time.
Gillian Anderson has been doing the press tour for her latest movie, the strangely titled Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. It's a horror movie in the slasher genre, and it's directed by Hannah Einbinder, who you'll know as the star of Hacks. However, the question most often asked of Gillian is about the new Ryan Coogler reboot of her breakthrough show, The X-Files. It's currently shooting, but she has been staying tight-lipped about whether she, as Agent Dana Scully, might make an appearance. She says getting a break in Hollywood was hard work.
It was a director or producer who I was auditioning for, and I went through multiple auditions with them and did not end up getting the job. But the producer called my agents and said, pay attention. Make sure she doesn't fall through the cracks.
It's almost definitely too soon to be talking about Christmas as we struggle through a heatwave and a drought, but the producers of ultra-violent Christmas movie Violent Night are at it again. David Harbour returns as the Viking warrior turned Santa Claus who doles out justice along with presents, but he's lost his powers. It's another blood-soaked festive movie as Harbour battles a villainous gangster played by Jared Harris, while Kirsten Bell makes an appearance as an axe-swinging Mrs. Claus, definitely not for the kids, and it hits cinemas in December.
I don't want to alarm anybody. There may not be another Christmas ever again.
Why not?
Santa got put on the naughty list.
What'd he do?
Maybe I killed too many people. I don't know.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.
Join me, Monica Reinagel, for a live taping of the Nutrition Diva podcast in Washington, D.C. On Wednesday, August 19th, we are gathering at the beautiful Friends of the National Arboretum to dive into the science of hydration. We're kicking the evening off with a sunset yoga session, followed by the live podcast recording and an open Q&A, so bring your most burning nutrition and hydration questions. Come for the yoga, come for the show, or do both. A huge thanks to our friends at Liquid IV for making this night possible and keeping us hydrated all evening long. Spots are limited. Grab yours and RSVP now at nutritiondivadc.com.
Traffic may be locked, but savings isn't. Unlock the savings at Boost Mobile with unlimited wireless for just $25 a month forever. No contracts, no hikes, and you keep your phone. Unlock the savings at boostmobile.com/unlock. $25 forever requires customers to remain active on Boost Unlimited Wireless Plan. For full offer details, visit boostmobile.com.